Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 438. Today I'm looking at who I think will win the AFC West in 2021. But before getting into that topic, question for those of you viewing. Typically we ask a fact-based question, but this is a little more opinionated. Who do you think is the best rivalry inside the AFC West? Do you think it's the Chargers-Broncos? Do you think it's the Chiefs-Chargers, Broncos-Raiders, so on and so forth? Who do you think has the best rivalry between the AFC West? Comment below who do you think it is, and I will reveal my answer at the end. But getting into this topic, of course, we're going to address the Chiefs powerhouse in the AFC West. Is going to be a problem for any team in any division. But who they have to deal with is the Los Angeles Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Denver Broncos. Just going to put it out there right away. I do think the Broncos will more than likely finish last. But to break it down completely, looking at the quarterback across each team, Patrick Mahomes, the kind of hierarchy for me goes Mahomes, Herbert, Carr, Drew Lock. Yes, the Broncos might change some things up. Yes, the Raiders could trade Derek Carr, so on and so forth. But I think based on the standings right now, I think those are the current quarterback hierarchy. That is the current quarterback hierarchy. That doesn't have a lot of negotiation to it. Looking at the running backs, I do think arguably Josh Jacobs is probably the best running back in that division when he's not out getting DUIs. So I would my opinion, might have the Chargers last. Unfortunately, Chargers fans, for those of you hearing this, because I like Josh Jacobs a lot. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to pan out to be great. And then just the Broncos having the duo between Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon is pretty lethal. And then Austin Eckler, I like him a lot in the passing game, but running the football, he's just not all there. Maybe if Kalen Ballage steps up more, or Joshua Kelly or Justin Jackson, that is one thing the Chargers have. A lot of depth chart, but pure, starting running back in Austin Eckler, I do think Gordon, Josh Jacobs, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are arguably better than him, in my opinion. Looking at the receiving core, it's easily going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins is going to be free agent, but you still got McCole Hardman. There's just a lot of speed, a lot of great hands, a lot of great route running on that team. Chargers, I'd probably go second best. I think Keenan Allen and Mike Williams hold it down pretty well. Then you got, Tyrell Johnson, I'm not exactly sure. And then Hunter Henry is going to be the big X factor of how this receiving core stands in the division. I assume the Chargers will re-sign him. However, he is technically a free agent. They will have to work something out if so. But I do think even if they don't, they have a backup plan, whether it's signing Jonnu Smith or Robert Tonyan. But looking at them now, I think keeping Hunter Henry, they are probably the best second best receiving core in this division. Then I would go Denver Broncos with Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton when he's healthy. However, this team does have an issue with injuries, so can't have them that high. Then, of course, the Raiders at fourth. I like Darren Waller a lot, probably a top 3 tight end, but outside of him, Nelson Aguilar is not going to be a Raider anymore, and Henry Ruggs isn't really the top draft pick we thought he would be. So the Raiders don't have a lot to them, in my opinion, in the receiving core. So they're going to finish last. Looking at coaching staff, number 1 is going to definitely be the Kansas City Chiefs. I like Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. And the Chargers, I'm a big fan of Brandon Staley, and I think he will be a media click for them and help take them to the promised land. But without seeing him coach a single game for them yet, I can't put him at number 2. I'd probably go with John Gruden. Then I would go Brandon Staley, and then at number 4, I would go Vic Fangio. Not a bad coach by any means, but I think Brandon Staley will be a great click for the Chargers. However, I just can't put him over John Gruden just yet. John Gruden's very proven, has coached the Raiders very well up to this point. Looking at the defensive pass rush, best pass rush would probably go towards the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, with Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Yeah, there's Von Miller and Bradley Chubb in Denver, but Von Miller, I don't see him re-signing with Denver. However, I could be wrong. We will have to see. But right now, I would definitely go with Chris Jones and Frank Clark on the Chiefs defensive line. Then I'd probably go with Joey Bosa on the Chargers defensive line. Yeah, it's kind of just him, and they're developing some other guys on that line, but Joey Bosa might actually be the highest defensive end in the league, if not one of the highest. It's one of the best defensive ends in the league, and I think he helps bring the Chargers to that title, being the second best pass rush in that division. Then it'd go Broncos at number 3, and the Raiders defense is completely butchered. No one on that team is good, and to be honest, no one on that Raiders defense is great, to be honest, and they got to fix that completely in this offseason, or they're not going to be a competitor. Then in the in the secondary, I would honestly probably go with the Los Angeles Chargers. They have a lot of talent when they are healthy, and Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr., Derwin James, and even Michael Davis, if they re-sign him. I like Derwin James a lot. He's the bread and butter to that secondary. However, he's very injury prone, so that will have to turn out to be a huge factor in how they do. Next, I would probably go the Kansas City Chiefs. They got Tyrann Mathieu really holding up that secondary. However, they do have other guys in there for sure. But Tyrann Mathieu, kind of like the Derwin James to the Los Angeles Chargers, he's just the bread and butter of that defense. He holds them together. He's the guy that talks for him. He's the guy that leads them, and I like him overall. Next, I'd go Broncos. You got Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson leading that secondary. Justin Simmons, a franchise tag, not a bad move. I was hoping they could work out a real deal, but he's still in your roster, and that's all that matters up to this point. And then the Raiders, they're going to finish last as well. So their defense is just nothing good about that Raiders defense is good except for the guy who's coaching them, and that is John Gruden. So overall, it's probably going to be what most of you would assume. I do think the Kansas City Chiefs will win that division. However, one factor I left out is the offensive line, and that is one thing none of these teams really succeed in. The Chiefs, pretty solid offensive line this past year. I would have said it's probably top 15, top 10. However, they released their left tackle, Eric Fisher, and the right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz, so that is a big thing. You saw Patrick Mahomes struggle in the Super Bowl without an offensive line. The Chargers, dead last offensive line. I think the Raiders and Broncos are like 24th and 25th worst offensive line. So none of these teams have great offensive lines, and that will be a big factor in who wins. And I do think the Chargers are in a great cap space situation and in a great spot in the draft to fix their offensive line. They might look at Elijah Vera Tucker. They might look at Rashawn Slater. If he's around, something tells me they'll jump on him, but I don't think he will be. But like I said, Elijah Vera Tucker or Christian Darrisaw, and then in free agency, I think they got an eye on Joe Thuney or Trent Williams. I think the Chargers are in a great spot to fix that. Chiefs, they don't have a whole lot of cap space when you're paying Patrick Mahomes $40 million a year, and Raiders or Broncos, not a bad situation, but I do think the Chargers and Chiefs, I do think the Chargers are in the best spot, in my opinion, to fix that offensive line. So overall, just based on the teams they have right now, I do think the Chargers will end up probably having a pretty solid O-line. We saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go from one of the worst offensive lines to one of the best in one offseason. Tristan Wirfs panned out to be one of the best, arguably the best rookie lineman in his draft class. That was a little bit of luck in the Buccaneers' favor, but still, it's nothing the Chargers can't follow the same path down. So I do think the Chiefs will win this division, though. However, I don't think it's going to be another 15-1, 14-2 season from the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think this will be a lot tougher. I think they'll finish around 12-4, 13-3, 11-5. Not a huge drawback by any means, but I don't think it's going to be a dominant thing where if you lose 2 games throughout the season, you have no shot at the division. I do think this is right around a 12-4, 11-5 team. I got the Chargers being a 10-6, 11-5 team, so really, Chargers are going to be in second place. I think they'll make a playoff berth, and I do think they have a good shot at the division if they could fix their offensive line, and if the Chiefs can't fix theirs, and if the Chargers have a healthy roster, they have a great shot at making the jump. But right now, there's just too many what-ifs to give it to them. A bad offensive line, a coach that I think will be great, but who knows if he will be, and a roster that is consistently injured. I just can't give them winning the division just yet. However, I do think the potential is there. And then again, I'm going to go Raiders number 3 and Broncos number 4. I think the Broncos have a pretty solid roster on paper all around, but when your most important position, quarterback, is the 4th worst in your own division, I don't think they'll get that far. I think Drew Lock has raw skill within him. However, he doesn't have great work ethic, and he just doesn't seem like the go out there and hustle type of guy where he's determined to win. He just goes out there and has fun, which is, yes, a part of a game, but he just doesn't seem to have that type of grind and grit within him where he wants to sacrifice everything he has or every down to win the football game. Like I said, he has raw skill, but he just doesn't show everything I want in a quarterback, in my opinion. Then Derek Carr and the Raiders, like I said, will go at number 3. Had a solid year this past year. They had some high hopes at playoffs early in the season. However, they finished, I believe, below 500 at 7-9. Had a couple mishap games, but I do think they will get a lot of things fixed. John Gruden, like I said, very well coached. He coaches very well. Derek Carr, solid quarterback. Josh Jacobs, I like him at running back. Darren Waller, top 3 tight end. They have some fundamentals and some foundation, but they need to get some depth in receiving core. Need to get anything on the defense, and they need to work on that offensive line. So they have a lot of holes, in my opinion. While the Chiefs and Chargers, I feel like their only holes are an offensive line, and the other two teams, they have a lot of issues to work out. So to me, I got the Chiefs probably finishing around 12-4. I got the Chargers finishing 10-6, 11-5, and really making a case at beating the Chiefs. Just got to see how the offseason goes. Then the Raiders, I think they could get a 9-7 season. In the Broncos, I think they'll be right where they were this past year, 6-10, 7-9, nothing special. I think the Raiders, could end up surprising us if they execute this offseason perfectly and become a playoff team. But as of right now, just with the amount of holes they have, I don't think they'll be a playoff team. So I got Chiefs winning the division, Chargers being a wild card, Broncos and Raiders getting decent first round draft picks. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. That is it for the video. And like I said, comment down below who you think has the best rivalry in this division. In my opinion, while I kind of pivoted the question towards who you think has the best rivalry of all time within the division, my answer is going to be for the future. I think Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes will develop the best rivalry in that division for the next decade to 10, 15 years. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type of rivalry, yet we'll get to see them play twice a year. Past and recent time, I think Peyton Manning and the Chiefs had a decent rivalry, but overall, Chiefs and Chargers are going to have a great rivalry in the future for the next decade or so. Thanks for watching, guys. 2-minute warning.